Good morning, my dear students. I am Padmini. I welcome you all to this live session. Today, we are going to learn a story from your English book Moments. The name of the story is In the Kingdom of Fools. So, this story is written by A.K. Ramanujan. Okay? Kannada. Kannada is a regional language mainly spoken in the state of Karnataka. The story is a Kannada folktale. What is a folktale, students? Folktale is a story which is passed on from one generation to another generation. So this story is also taken from the book Folk Tales from India and which is written by A.K. Ramanujan. Okay? So first of all, we will discuss the title of the story. So what is the title of the story? In the Kingdom of Fools, which means the state where people are not so wise. They are not intelligent. In this story, the king and his minister, also the advisors, are fools. That means that they are not wise and intelligent. When this kind of people rule the kingdom, then what all happens has been told in this story. So let us start the story. So let us start the story in the Kingdom of Fools. So the first line, it is given, in the Kingdom of Fools, both the king and the ministers were idiots. Idiots means here they are not intelligent. Here idiots means those who are not intelligent. So in the Kingdom of Fools, both the king and the minister all are not intelligent or not wise. So here the king and his ministers, they did not want to run their kingdom like other kings. So they decided to do something different. They started treating the night as day and day as night. Vice versa, you can say. So they ordered that the work which was done at night would be done during the daytime. And the work which was done during the daytime will be done during the night time. Here they passed an order that everyone in the kingdom would work at night. Nobody sleep at night. The farmers would do farming at night. And the ones who ran businesses would do businesses at night, not at the daytime. As soon as the sun rose, everyone would go to sleep. If someone would disobey the order, he would be punished with death. So just imagine. So they have violated the rule of nature. Day cannot be night, night cannot be day. The things we can do at the daytime, we cannot do at the night time. But as it is the order of the highness or the king, the people of that state or that country, they have to listen. And another order they have given, if someone would disobey the order, he would be punished with death. Okay? All the people of the same kingdom, they all were scared that if they did not obey the king's order, they would be sentenced with death penalty. So they obeyed the order, although it was very strange. The king and his ministers, both the fools, were very happy that all the people in the kingdom were following their orders, because they themselves were very foolish. No doubt the king, the ministers, and at the same time the advisors, all are not wise, not intelligent. They all fools. One day, a saint arrived in the Kingdom of Fools along with one of his disciples, or we can say the followers. He saw that it was a beautiful city. It was a sunny day, that but could not find anyone around the city. They were all surprised. Everyone was asleep. And the writer says here that not a mouse was stirring. Not a mouse was stirring, not moving around. They could not find a single mouse moving around, which means that it was so quiet. It was so quiet as everyone, even the teeniest creature like the mice, were also asleep. The people had taught their cattle to sleep during the daytime. So everyone, human as well as animals, were asleep. Imagine just. These two strangers, means here the saint and his disciple, the two strangers to the kingdom of fools, were not aware that this kind of order had been passed in the city. So they were surprised to see that everyone was sleeping during the daytime. They kept on wandering around in the whole city. And as soon as it was night, everyone woke up and started doing their own work. Businessmen were doing businessmen and farmers are doing their farming. It's completely strange. The wise Guru told his disciple that the place was not right for them and asked him to leave at once. But the disciple was a foodie who loves to eat. He loved to eat, and that is why he didn't want to leave that place, because the food was very cheap there. Guru tried to make his disciple understand and told him that everyone out there was a fool and was very dangerous. In the first sentence of your book, it is believed that fools are so dangerous. So the same thing the Guru realized here, that they are fool and they are very dangerous. The kingdom would not last for a long time and they could harm them too. The disciple is not foresighted like his Guru and could not understand what his Guru was trying to say. He wanted to live there only and enjoy the cheap food because he loved food. Finally, the Guru left alone, leaving the disciple behind. The disciple stared back in the kingdom of the fools. Everybody, he ate a lot of food. Every day he ate a lot of food, due to which he became fat as a huge bull. Okay, as the strict bull, he became fat. Now we will get the climax of the story. One day what happened? A thief entered a merchant's house. He made a hole in the wall to gain access. Okay? When he was about to move out of the house, after looting all the things, the wall broke and fell down on his head, and he died there only. He died there only. Okay? The thief died, no? After that, the thief's younger brother went to the king and complained that his brother was following his ancient trade. Means, although ancient trade means rubbing is a crime. While he was working, the wall fell on his head and he died. The thief's brother was taking advantage of the king's foolishness. He said that the merchant whose wall has fallen down on his brother was the culprit. He should be punished. He should have made a strong wall. He the king to punish the merchant and get compensation for his family. The king was so foolish, as we know from the first, that the king, not only the king, his minister and also the advisors, all are foolish. So the king was so foolish that he did not consider the fact that the man, or we can say that that man was committing theft at the time of his death. He only thought that the man died because the wall fell on him, and the owner of the house whose wall fell on him to be punished. So he called the merchant, and after that the merchant pleaded here, prayed in front of the king, and requested also that, my lord, it was not my fault. The wall was weak because the person who made the wall did not construct it properly. Hence, you should not punish me, you should punish him. And further he added that the wall was built and it was very old and it was built in my father's time. The person who built it was very old, and the merchant said that I knew him as he lived nearby. Okay, as he lived nearby, I knew him, but now he was very old. So the merchant said the fault that didn't lie with that person or did not lie with the merchant, because this wall has been done by a bricklayer or a mason. So the king sent his soldier to call the bricklayer who built this wall. They tied his hands and feet and brought him in the king's palace. The king asked him that did he build the wall? And he replied that yes, he did. Yes, I did that wall. The king said that the man had built a weak wall. That is the reason the wall fell on the poor thief's head and killed him. So the bricklayer would be punished for this with death. Okay? So now you got the conclusion that everyone is passing on the blame to another person. When the king was about to pass an order to execute the bricklayer, he requested the king to listen to him. He agreed that he did not make the wall properly. It was because of a girl, because of a dancing girl who was roaming around the street, and her anklets were making a jingling sound. Due to her anklets' jingling sound, he was unable, or he was not able to concentrate on his work. So he built a weak wall. It was not his mistake. It was the fault of the dancing girl. He added that he knew where this dancing girl lived. She would be punished instead of him, because the real culprit is not I. The real culprit was the dancing girl. Now the king was satisfied with the bricklayer's explanation. He was convinced with him. He tells that this case is a very complicated one and will not be able to solve it so easily. So he ordered his messengers to get the dancing girl. So we can understand the foolishness of the king here. Okay. Now the dancing girl was thinking that how to save herself from this, because she knew that this is the kingdom of fool. Here the king, his minister, and also the advisors all were fools. So the dancing girl transform the blame, we can say the blame, onto another person. She said that no doubt she was roaming around the land again and again because she had to visit the goldsmith shop. She had to visit the goldsmith shops. She had given some gold to him to make jewelry out of it. He was a scoundrel, means a dishonest person. He was making excuses for not making her ornaments in time. He kept on asking her to come after some time. Due to this, she had to go to his house at least a dozen of times. So the dancing girl said that the fault did not lie with me. The fault lay with whom? With the goldsmith. So it was the fault of the goldsmith, not of the dancing girl. Further, the dancing girl said, that when the bricklayer saw her and got distracted, it was the fault of the goldsmith, because of whom she was roaming in the land again and again. Now the king says that the poor dancing girl was totally right. We can understand the foolishness of the king here. He thought a lot and finally said that now they knew who the real culprit was. He ordered to bring the goldsmith. So here we will get a new word, that is bailiffs. Bailiffs means a law officer who makes sure that the decision of a court are obeyed. So the bailiffs in the king's court went in search of the goldsmith and brought him to the court. The goldsmith was hiding inside his shop as he feared being arrested. When he was brought in front of the king, he told his side of the story. So everybody knows here that this is the kingdom of fools. So everyone is trying to make their own story to save themselves. Okay? The king said here, the dancing girl was right. He made many excuses and made her visit his shop again and again. But it was not her fault. She had an order from a rich merchant. Means here, now the goldsmith is making his own story. He is telling that this is not my fault because he had an order from a rich merchant and they had a wedding in their place and they were in a hurry to get their order, and that is why the dancing girl's work was getting delayed. And here the king asked the goldsmith to name the rich merchant. Who is the rich merchant? Who gave you order? The real culprit is not the goldsmith. Now the real culprit is the rich merchant. Okay? Now the goldsmith said that the merchant was the same merchant whose house wall had fallen down. Now the justice has come full circle. Means the story ended at the same person from whom it had started. The thief died under the wall of the same merchants whose jewelry the goldsmith was making. Once again, the merchant was caught. He was crying and he knew that the king was foolish and he would give him the death sentence. He said that it was not he who had ordered the jewelry, but it was his father. And now his father was dead. it was none of his fault. The fault lies with his father, who is already died. Okay? Now, the king consulted to all his ministers and gave the decision that the merchant's father was the murderer. The thief died because of his father, of the merchant's father. Yet, the merchant's father was not alive, and someone had to be punished for the crime. He was dead. The real culprit was dead. But somebody should get the punishment. So, who will get the punishment? So, he said that the merchant's son, who had inherited everything from his father, would have to take the punishment for his wrongdoing as well. He added that when he had seen the merchant for the first time, at that moment only he had a feeling that the real culprit was the merchant. The king announced that now the merchant would have to die. So in the eyes of the king, who is the real culprit? The merchant was the real culprit. Okay? So now the king ordered to make the new weapon. Okay. So when the new weapon was getting ready, the minister felt that the merchant was very thin and he could not be educated in this way. He told this to his king, and the king got so worried about it. The king got an idea that they should catch hold a man who was fit enough to be educated with this stake. So the merchant would not be put to the death because he was too thin to be educated with that stake. So they thought of punishing another person instead of the merchant. And what kind of person? One who was fit enough to be educated with a stake. Now remember the disciple of the king who loved food. Okay? Finally, the king sent his servants around the kingdom to look for a man who was fit enough to be educated with the stake. They found, imagine to whom they have found. So they found the Guru's disciple who had become very fat because of overeating. Okay? So the disciple said that he was a sannyasi. He had not done anything wrong. He was completely innocent. Then why were they taking him? The king's servant said that he was innocent, but they were ordered to catch hold a fat man who could be educated with the stake and was fit for it. And that is why they were taking him along. The disciple reminded of his guru, Guruji, who was a very wise person, intelligent person, and told him that it was a city of fools and they could harm him. They could be dangerous. Now they were taking this person, means the disciple, along to execute him. Now the disciple was completely helpless. So he prayed to his guru and asked him to come to his and to rescue him, to help him, to save him. The guru could visualize the disciple's message due to his magical powers. He could see everything. He could see the future also, the present and also the past. He could see everything in his vision. He could see the future. He could see the present and at the same time the past. Okay? Now the Guru arrived to save his disciple. Now the disciple was trapped in a very difficult and serious situation. They were about to execute him, although he had not done anything wrong. He had not done anything wrong. So the Guru came to rescue him from his situation, from this odd situation. As the Guru met his disciple, he scolded him because he didn't obey him and stayed back. That is the reason he scolded him. And he whispered something in his ears. The Guru tried to trap the king in his words. He asked him who was greater between a Guru and his disciple. The king replied that, of course, the Guru was greater. The Guru said that for this reason the king must execute him before executing his disciple. Okay? When the disciple heard the words from the king and from the words of his Guru, he shouted that he wanted to die first. So when the Guru and disciple, they started arguing that who would die first? The king got completely confused. He asked the Guru that why did he want to die? They had cut the disciple because he was fat, and they wanted a fat man who could be executed with this stake. Now the Guru refused to reply. He said that he wanted to die before his disciple died. The king felt that there was some mystery behind it. Must be some mystery behind it. The Guru wanted to die before his disciple and was so eager to die. There must be some reason behind it. There must be some mystery behind it. Then the Guru asked the king to promise him that he could execute him first if he told him the secret about why he wanted to be executed first. He told him the secret about why he wanted to be executed first. Okay? Now the king promised that he would execute him first. Then the Guru took the king aside and slowly told him that they had roamed around the whole world, but they have not seen a city and a king like him. He added that the stake which they would use to kill the disciple was the stake of justice. As it was new, it had not killed any criminal. Further, the Guru said that the one who would die first on this stake would be reborn as the king of the kingdom. Just imagine here why he said all these things. By telling all these things, no, he was trying to trap the king. Here we can understand the intelligence of the Guru. Okay? The one who would die next would be reborn as the minister of the kingdom. The Guru added that he was tired of the life of a sannyasi. He and his disciple both wanted to live the life of a king and a minister. So he says that the king execute him first, so that he is reborn as the king, and after him his disciple be executed, so that he is reborn as the minister. listening to the Guru, the king was in deep thought. He did not want that in the next life the kingdom be snatched away from him. So now he started discussion with his ministers, and all the ministers are fully here. Okay. Now the king told his ministers that he did not want that in the next life his kingdom will be taken away from him. He added that that person or the sannyasi was a holy man. And the holy man, they didn't speak lies. So he says that they should die first. They should die first. Why? Because they will reborn as the king and the minister of the kingdom. So now the king told his executioners that he would send the criminals. And at what time? At night. Firstly, they should execute the person who came first, and then execute the second person. And the king reminded them that they should be careful and should not make any mistake. The person who would come first, they will execute the person first. Okay? So at night, the king and his ministers went to the preacher, where the Guru and his disciples were kept. They wear the clothes of the Guru and his disciple, so that they resembled them. As it was told to the servants, they came and took them along and put them into the stake for education. In this way, with his intelligence, the Guru was able to execute his foolish king and his foolish ministers. And after that, when the dead bodies of the king and his minister was taken away to be thrown, the people of that state were trembled to see the dead bodies of their king and ministers. Everyone was trembling because the dead bodies were not the Guru and his disciple. Instead, they were the bodies of the king and his ministers. Okay? Go to them. Why? As the Guru and the disciple were planning to leave the kingdom. And at the same time, the people of that kingdom, they stopped them. The people of that kingdom, they thought that they needed a king and a minister. So they requested the Guru and his disciple to be the new king and the minister of the kingdom. And very easily, the disciple agreed. Or we can say the disciple agreed quickly because he loved food. But it took some time to make the Guru agree upon this. Okay? Because he was leading a life of a sannyasi. The Guru at last agreed to be the king of the kingdom, but on the condition that from then everyone would work in the day and sleep at night. And also the cost of things would vary and not be one do for everything as was the system earlier. It would be like any other place where everything had different rates. Finally, the Guru converted the kingdom of fools into a normal kingdom. Okay, students? At first I said it is a folk tale that brings to light the dangers posed by the foolish people. It also emphasizes the view that foolish people can be very difficult to manage. They can be dealt with only by the wise and calm people. So the whole story is based on the theme that foolish people are unpredictable and can be very dangerous. So one must stay away from them even if they offer benefit for some time. Here in this story, the disciple got tempted by the availability of all the items for one to do each and stayed in that kingdom and the kingdom of fools in spite of warning by the wise Guru. Okay? Had the Guru not returned to rescue him, the disciple would have had to pay for this temptation through his life. So remember, my dear students, the foolish people are always unpredictable and dangerous, and you can deal with them only by the wise and calm people. Okay? I hope you have understood this chapter. Thank you, my dear students.